I want to go ahead and introduce our panelists. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves so they can give a little context of their own background. And then I asked them in kind of our pre-game here to either share their AI aha moment or where they've applied the principles or technology of AI onto a cybersecurity project that we're working with. And then I'll have them introduce themselves. I'll sit down and then we'll start our panel. We'd encourage you to share your questions and comments. Questions are better than comments. Comments are fine. We want to hear what you have to say and what you're thinking, but try to shape your comments into questions so that we can all learn from it. And somebody from the team here at FutureCon will pass a mic. That way I don't have to repeat the question each time, so be patient. They'll walk over to you, give you a mic. So again, Darin Andersen, CEO and co-founder of Next Robotics. So we provide a platform of AI focused at physical and cybersecurity at stadiums, casinos, data centers. And so we're protecting those things from a physical standpoint, but also the digital footprint. And it's been a massive blessing having done this for 10 years and the pace of technology with things like miniaturization and ubiquitous internet and AI, which has really evolved from big data. Now we can have smart brains working for us, because I remember the time when what we called big data was the dumb brain, the infant brain, the small brain. Now that we have enough computing power, it really makes life much better for all of us, I believe. Now, our challenge and opportunity is to protect all that, as we always have been those kind of guardians. So I will start from the far side with Lionel. And Lionel, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, is this working? Yeah, I'm Lionel. I'm the CISO at Menlo Security. I guess we're based out of Mountain View, so I am in San Francisco. I guess if you didn't get a chance to come visit us at our booth, what we do is browser security. Our mission is to, I guess, enable humans and now agents to collaborate and communicate securely. I guess my aha moment with AI is actually pretty entertaining, I think. It was soon after ChatGPT was launched, our CEO asked me a question. I forget exactly what he wanted to know. And I just asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT generated an answer. I thought it was pretty good, and that's what I sent to my CEO. And then at the end, I put, hey, by the way, I did not write this. This was ChatGPT, right? And my CEO was also just at that point amazed, right? We hadn't really played with the technology, and so that was sort of the aha moment. And I guess uses of AI internally, we've had quite a few, but maybe one of the first ones was to leverage it as I guess a SOC. Oh, all right. Is that better? Yeah. Yeah. So leverage it as a first level SOC analyst. So we would get these alerts from our cloud security posture monitoring tool, feed them into AI before opening tickets. And yeah, that was pretty successful.
Thank you. Next is Nguyen, the Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, for Nuvacore. And remember to hold that mic right up to your lips.
Absolutely. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me use my command voice for a second. All right. Good greeting, everyone. Currently, the CISO for Nuvacore. Before, about months ago, I was the CISO for Metrolink. So some of you saw like a quick switch. And so just if you're looking about, it's nothing, interesting. Just 15 plus years of cybersecurity practitioner and leadership in more than 10 industry, including military to biotech to healthcare to critical infrastructure, and now with the AI semiconductor, it's very interesting. And background, I'm proud to say I'm a retired U.S. Air Force Cyber Director, Lieutenant Colonel, retired about 12 years ago. To give back, I was an adjunct professor for Webster University teaching Master of Cybersecurity. So I do like a variety of things just to have fun. And so my AI moment, when my wife came to me and she said, I don't want AI in my cooking. And I'm like, what do you mean? AI ingredient, artificial ingredient. Okay, well, That's interesting, right? When your wife said, I don't want AI in the cookie. But for me, of course, somebody's laughing this joke. For me, the AI moment is when I realized that what I acquired, the knowledge and the experience, AI multiply the knowledge, also make me more intelligent in a way of applying and practice cybersecurity. And I want to leverage AI just like everyone else to utilize AI to prevent AI attacks. So that's my kind of aha moment. Thank you.
Awesome. And last but most is Maryam Tehrani, Principal Business Strategy, ApiSec, and also a leader in the OWASP Los Angeles community. Welcome.
Thank you, Darin. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to sit next to all of these amazing panelists. I'm Maryam Tehrani. I'm a principal of business strategy for ApiSec, and also I'm a leader for OWASP LA. The path that I started, it hasn't been that smooth as the other panelists. I started in chemical engineering. So I started in chemical engineering, and I had my engineering brain. Then I got my master in business administration. So I veered off into the business side and leadership. And from there, I started, again, I decided to challenge myself, and I got my master in data science. That's when it happened that I'm just like, oh, that's very interesting. And I started my journey as a data science. I didn't know how to code that much, and then I'm gonna pivot to what was my aha moment. When I was getting my master in data science, I was challenging myself. Every single day, I'm like, how am I going to use Python and R? And I was just like going between both of those languages. And what happened? In 2023, I became the best coder. I'm just like, but when I was just using the code, but when I think about my cybersecurity mind, I'm like, that's not very good. Especially just like try to just use basically all the open source and especially cloud, ChatGPT, and write code with them. Then the OWASP side started. So I became the board member for the OWASP LA, and we have monthly meeting at OWASP, and then that's how my journey started. And in ApiSec, what we do the automated pen testing and also API security. And if you have any question, I can talk to you later.
Thank you. Let's go that way with that. Great. Well, let me ask one of our panelists. How about we start with Lionel? What would you say are methods that folks are using, the bad guys using, to guide AI threats and things that we're seeing today? Or alternatively, maybe share what you think is happening with CISOs and maybe underestimating the power of AI.
Right, so underestimating the power of AI. Yeah, I think one thing that comes to mind is just like the recent news around, I guess this model escaping from OpenAI and targeting the name of the company is escaping me now, but what was it? Yes, Hugging Face, right? And it targeted Hugging Face. And what the model did was it first escaped the sandbox, right? And it wasn't malicious. It was just trying to complete a task. And so I think one of the things we may be underestimating is just the ability that these models have of just not following instructions and then creatively causing chaos.
Interesting. Don, do you have a comment on that?
Let me do a comparison currently with Nuvacore, and really 100% adopted AI, cloud, and all the platform. So, and comparing to a month ago, I was with Metrolink, which is a public sector, is very slow-moving train, and according to AI, and a lot of concern, of course, it's because it's critical infrastructure, and it's easier to attack, I suppose. But I think my concern of just elevated that I'm concerned about because our new environment is that I'm concerned about shadow AI deployment. That's the thing that I don't know what's out there yet. I don't know how to protect it yet, And if I know what how is registered in our AI platform, then I can better protect, right? Have a plan and strategy for it. The other part is that because we, just like the last company and current with Nuvacore, is the third party risk, whether API or source that I'm concerning about. Every organization outsource, right? And third party, that's a risky. You know, the first thing you do when I got to this new entity is that how do you vet all the application and software and everything we bring in? Everybody's just like, we don't have anything. That's a very concern. You know, you immediately will, from experience, that you got to build a third-party risk management program right away to vet everything that go through your system or part of our business, right? So I think that's important. Those are two things I'm worried about. And that, if we underestimate, that could be a really critical risk. And it's affect what? Revenue. That's a business talk right there.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that same question?
Just I wanted to add something else. What we can say we, like, you know, especially what I see in the API security and then regarding the OWASP. So what we are facing, it's very dangerous to have basically to use Cloud and any of the open source for the code, as you were mentioning, because it's gonna introduce new vulnerabilities. And then we don't see that we are going to have the new vulnerabilities when we are using the AI agents. And also it's going to affect the supply chain. That's the thing that I wanted to add.
Thank you for sharing that. Let me do an informal survey here. Who in the audience of people by show of hands are using AI, let's say, on a daily basis? How about your companies are, let's say, we're just going to do an A/B test here. Which of your companies are telling you that you should not use AI at all or even partially? Are there any folks like that in the room? And then what companies, everyone else is leveraging AI and saying we need to use it? Because, you know, I was at this event last year, and it was like 50-50. We were still in that kind of slow mode of saying, you know, there's policies around the use of AI, don't bring in ChatGPT. We're going to send you the vetted model that you can use. And that's been happening over a year, but it's been happening really fast. So I was just curious about that.
Maybe, can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
How many have their companies telling them to use AI more?
Yeah, it's about 40-50%. Yeah. So just, I mean, it sort of follows the 2-month adoption of this around the world is the adoption that we all have. Because I literally remember being on phone calls, Zoom calls with clients saying, oh, you know, our people aren't allowed to use these models or any models. But that has changed very rapidly. I do want to talk a little bit about resiliency because I always love the idea of resiliency. This is what we do, right? Build the muscles for our organizations. So how has AI impacted, I want to ask, maybe we can start, Don, with you. How has AI impacted the resiliency process that you're seeing either in your organization or others? And are you seeing the changes in sort of following a cybersecurity model, think NIST? They did release a couple of different AI standards about 18 months ago. So that's been out there for us to digest. So Don, what are you seeing with that?
I think for addressing resiliency is that you must have a framework. You should adopt a framework. That's a immediate thing. The framework I adopt continuously from the last entities now is the NIST AI framework, just to have a guideline of a standard that we could follow. I mean, it's hard. It's not easy, you know. And the one thing that I think, from my perspective, is resiliency. That's the first thing you do, is you have to show you can recover, and you have to show the business. You can guarantee them that you will be back in operation in a certain amount of time, or you'll be gone, and then immediately, pretty much. And I think that for resiliency, I think that, from my perspective, you don't build the wall higher. right? That's not the purpose in the double resiliency. You build where it can recover fast, immediately, and that's I think everywhere you go. The first thing, I was an auditor, and I come in and I said, "Well, show me your incident response plan, and how long have you been exercised, or how often you exercise?" And most of them like, "Oh, we haven't touched it for a year or two." Oh my goodness, that's a problem right there. Immediately you find a weakness. That's just not a technology solution, it's just a process solution, right? Just communication, collaboration. Resiliency is, that's what my perspective.
Yeah, thank you. Maryam, do you want to add to that? Do you have any thoughts around that?
Yes, actually nowadays with AI, business is moving fast. The fast pace of the business, we can, like, GRC, if we are talking about it, it hasn't been up there. The AI is making it accelerating. So we have to be cautious about that. And then we have to make sure the pace of the business is actually, it's not the pace of the AI. AI is going to be on the pace of the business. We are not going to sacrifice the security of the business. What happened, like, you go and talk to so many of CEOs, and then they're just like, you know what, forget about it, because the appetite, the risk appetite is the highest in the recently now, if you want to compare it to a few years ago. That's why we are just eliminating all of the guardrails, because we want to just like have the fast pace and move forward.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's just a ton of pressure to move fast. So I think the way has maybe changed a little bit. How we operate is really how you can say yes, but rather than saying no or later. Like, you have to do it now, and it really becomes more a conversation around risk mitigation, right? And okay, we're gonna enable this or that tool, but we're going to at least have this guardrail, or make sure we have an audit trace for everything that's happening with the specific tool.
Yeah, maybe you can comment, and I'll ask. Actually, I'd like to ask each of the panelists this. So, what does guardrail mean to you? Right? It's kind of a term that came in vogue like in the last 12 months. I've been hearing it a lot. So, what is the context of that to you, and where do you see like a cybersecurity guardrail that's kind of laying the groundwork for security versus the idea of guardrailing the information in and out? Because I see guardrails protecting against data leak and protection and sort of that world.
Yeah, I think for us, guardrails means controlling what the agent can do, but with hard guardrails, not through soft guardrails. So not through tweaking the prompt and telling it, hey, you should be doing this and not doing this, right? I mean, you also want to do this, right? Because it's harder if the agent is completely misaligned and is intentionally misbehaving. But we want to have something on top of that that really controls what the agent can do. So it's meant, some of it is least privilege, right? Making sure we provision accounts for autonomous agents that can only perform specific actions, and then some of it has been using our own technology, so that, for example, if we let an agent browse the web, we have strict limits on what it can do. These are the websites it can visit. It is allowed to maybe download PDF files, but not executables, things of this nature, and making sure they're enforced, again, right, by some external system that is really controlling it.
Are there any particular tools that you like for that?
Well, we use our own tool, I guess, so
Yep.
we have our own secure browser that we use for that.
Yep.
I guess we've also leveraged just some of the built-in tools in Claude that lets you control what you can do through an MCP, right? So this may be something like, okay, it's okay for you to use the MCP to connect to Google Drive, but we're not going to allow the share feature, so that I guess the model cannot decide, hey, I'm going to share this document to the world, right? This is still human in the loop. I think that's another big guardrail, right? You want to have still humans in there.
Yeah.
So adding to what you said, that of course your guardrail got to build in within your AI governance, right? So one of the things that when I got to this entity, don't have an AI governance, but AI model is going 100%, no guardrail. And actually, the business unit is asking for a guardrail. That's That's great if they do that. That's security conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're helping make my work easier. And so we have to develop a charter right away to bring in all these stakeholders for legal, HR, product engineering, everyone to understand what the risk. And in the day, we are risk assessment leaders here. So that's important within the guardrail. That's if you ask me to go talk to the DevSecOps team, there's got to be a SecOps opportunity to mitigate the thing, the code that they're developing, and ensure it's nothing serious about the code that they're about to share, right? And a lot of things what I try to share with them is that what's your design? Is security first in design? We're designing, sensitive intellectual property chip here. There's people out there, there's country out there want to steal it for profit, right? So definitely a guardrail, isolation, all that blocking, control you mentioned, and of course the most important thing I think is the process and the discipline. Mm-hmm. And you said what tool that we use? I think the human is the best tool.
Agreed.
Right? Yes, AI gotta have human.
The person in the middle.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's
It
it.
can recommend, but it can't. The AI can recommend, but it can't make a decision. We have humans are the one who are basically getting accountable for the last decision.
Agreed. And I'll give you a concrete idea around this, which is at Robotics we provide two modes. We're using almost exclusively mode one, and that is what we call AI Assist. So AI Assist, for example, will say there's an event at Snapdragon Stadium, and we have sensors that are up to 3 miles out, and based on the type of game it is, because believe it or not, the demographics for, let's say, a Dodger Padres game are different from, let's say, a Baltimore Orioles Padres game, meaning Dodger Padres fan, all the main fans are coming to that, and they know what roads they're going to take and where to park and how to get in the gate and how to go to the concession stand where they like to get their beer and their hot dog. The Baltimore one might be different, so the timing dynamics can be very different. We're leveraging our AI models and Assist to say, we see traffic coming predicted today 3 miles out in a part of the stadium, and you're going to see that traffic in about 15 minutes. We usually give a 15 to 30 minute sort of warning window to show where the traffic is going to arrive. And then our AI Assist basically provides a set of selections and options to make a change. So we can, for example, open up another lane coming into the stadium. We can automatically change the signboards of the units that are 3 miles out and say, alternative route to the 805 freeway from the 15 or the 5 freeway. We have the ability to kind of flip that mode to AI orchestration, and obviously it gets a lot more dicey there. We've experimented with it. Where we are using orchestration, for example, in two areas. One is we prep with our AI workflows tool the operator of a particular event. So Monster Jam's coming up in 2 weeks. We send that person a note to say, Monster Jam's in 2 weeks. Here's your checklist. Here's your SOPs and your security protocols that you need to follow for the next 2 weeks. And then our AI assistant, Nexi, is kind of tapping on your shoulder. That's also an AI assist. Orchestration comes in when you just automate that, right? You just go from semi-auto to auto. And then, lastly, we're using orchestration to do roll-up reports, right? Because most people don't get hurt by a report, right? Versus we said change that lane and car blasted someone. So I do see this interplay between AI assist and AI orchestration, and I think it exists everywhere. It's not just like the mechanical world, but it's going to be in cybersecurity as well. Do we stop that threat automatically? I mean, we do that all the time, right? That's orchestration. So we are orchestrators. And in fact, if we weren't orchestrators, we wouldn't be able to probably keep our jobs because we'd be fighting the 100 doors that are open and the bad guys getting through. So would you say that the focus on AI has changed the adoption of new technologies that CISOs are looking And if so, how so?
I think so. The first thing you do now is ask ChatGPT what it thinks about the technology, right? And I think another interesting thing this has introduced is, as a security vendor, you want to make sure you have good material on your website so that Claude or Gemini is not going to hallucinate some answer about your product. So it's changed in many ways, but I think that's one way it's changed how we look at products.
Don, you have a thought?
Yeah, I think it's back to evaluation before adoption, right? You know, any tools or any particular AI model, you do your due diligence to beta or POC to ensure there's discovery, all the vulnerability, and of course, your part of discovery is how productive going to help us, right, in the business world. But also the other part is the risk assessment as well. I think that it is, and we in our industry we have a regulation that we have to comply with as well. So just this morning I have a consent letter from a strategic partner asking all these requirements, right? And of course, we'll be ready. That's confidently, and I'm using AI to help me to get to that point as well.
Because it's like speed to market, right? Trying to get, trying to like fight the inbox. Let me open it up to the audience now. Who has a question for the panel? The lady here, and he's going to bring a mic over to you. Stand up and just give us your first name, your organization, and.
You hear me just fine, right?
Perfect. Thank you.
My name is Mary Wang. My organization, I work for the Aerospace Corporation as a senior cybersecurity engineer, and I also have a nonprofit, Women's Society of Cyberjets, so I run the Southern California chapter. Yes. All right. So my question is, all right, I want to ask about the Anthropic Claude. How do you say it, missiles or okay, but you know which one I'm talking about. It has the capability of finding the software vulnerability much, much faster. So, as a defender, how do we fix those? Because you know, even if you apply patches and whatnot, you can still break a code, right? So I'm looking for, are you guys doing something like on your DevSecOps pipeline? Or how do you fix those vulnerabilities? First of all, you have to determine the rankings, right? There's CVE vulnerability ranking score. But what are you currently doing right now? Like if AI can find all those, including 0-day vulnerabilities that fast, exploit, right? What do you do? I'd like to hear some solutions.
I think we got, does everyone understand the question? Yes. Who wants to?
Oh, come on, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, thank you.
How do you fix it?
Understood. So you want the fix right now. Wait.
Yeah, I want the fix.
You're asking for the fix. Okay, we're going to give it to you, right?
Okay,
you're not just venting here. You're asking for the fix.
Yeah, I'm asking for the fix. Thanks.
That's a $1 billion question. How to fix it?
The question.
I'd be very wealthy if I can fix it.
Let's go.
It's definitely a challenge. I think the way we look at it is potentially you don't focus so much on fixing it. You focus on reducing the impact, right? Because yes, with these models, and I mean this was true before, but you get more and more of these 0 days, you just have to assume that they're going to happen, right? So how they have technology in place that helps you mitigate those risks, right? And that could be eliminating the risk by making sure my servers are just not reachable on the internet when they don't need to be, for example. Some of it is using our own technology where, for example, we use browser isolation so that if there's a 0 day in the browser, it doesn't matter as much, right? This still has some impact, but we can really limit it. And then, yeah, obviously you have to move faster when it comes to patching. That's also going to be part of how we approach it. And yeah, I can see you don't like that part of the answer.
Yeah, I think for my I have a plan, not a fixed thing, but to minimize the vulnerability.
The impact, I
yes,
think. Yeah, it's
exactly.
key.
So I'm looking to leverage AI model to help me discover the vulnerability before my malicious actor out there and get there before I do. So former red team from the Air Force, that's what I did. I go to different organization and I send my team in and just make a mess or find a place to get in, right? And that's the same perspective is that you got to find the vulnerability before the adversary and plug and mitigate. And the plan is, you mentioned technology, that's part of it, right? And the other one is the process, the governance. And of course, find the right people is hard. I'm learning AI just like you too. I mean, I from the last environment, AI it's not even maybe 10%, now it's 100% focus on AI, models and security and code and, LLM and everything else that is on the plate.
I can tell you love it and hate it at the same time.
Well, I'll tell you what, high risk, high reward. That's
Yeah,
what
absolutely. Do you have an answer for that?
Yes, the other thing that I was going to add to our other two panelists is just like prompt engineering. That's how you're going to, we can't fix it, because that's $1 million question. If any of us were able to fix it, we would have not been here. So just like, maybe just like, that's the thing, just prompt engineering is the key. How you're going to ask the Claude what you're looking for, and don't ask the way that it's going to introduce the vulnerability in it. Actually, Mary, you missed the OWASP event last night, so we could have helped it. We could have not fixed it, but we could have helped that.
That's fair. Awesome. Who has our next question for us? Gentleman in the red shirt, and then this gentleman here in the peach shirt. Thank you. Just share your name. Stand up, share your name and your organization. Thank you.
My name is Alberto Frausto.
A little closer.
All right, there we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, there we go. My name is Alberto Frausto. I'm with States Logistics, a logistics company based here in Buena Park. I want to start with, I guess, 2 questions posed to the audience and then one for the panel. So with a show of hands, how many people have an agentic AI implemented in your environment? All right, and then by another show of hands, how many people have AI agents being pushed out, via Teams, Outlook, or your users just visiting ChatGPT or Claude via the web?
We do it with Slack.
With Slack.
And Signal, yeah.
Right. So Dawn touched on shadow AI, and through the panels, there's been discussion of data exfiltration through AI, and I wanted to kind of ask how you navigate data protection against data exfiltration through AI being pushed through these different platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a key question, right? I mentioned earlier that for me, when I think of the use of AI, it's like how much data is being exfiltrated internally, right? Like we're actually piping our data out through these models, and they're ending up in this sort of public consciousness, and people, if they're prompting right, are going to try to obscure maybe the problem that they're trying to solve. But of course, I don't think that's actually happening. I think people are just like going in. So this is where guardrails come in, but what are some of the other things that you're seeing?
Oh, because we have intellectual property, very sensitive information, we got to consider inside risk as well. We got to consider DOP. We don't want that our information out there is very valuable. And that's something that, it's even though it's a startup, but it doesn't have a roadmap strategy yet. That's what brought me in. And those are things that's pretty foundational in every industry that I've been through. It has those particular tools, just the basic foundation. I mean, we didn't even have VPN when I got there. Okay, that's scary, right? Yes. And so I look at technology as an enhancer to our security posture. I'm looking for, just out here, just talking to the vendor here. There's a couple of them strike interest to me, right, about what I'm looking for to build my we say, strategy and roadmap, and I think that you know, it's a shared responsibility within organization, because I cannot do it by myself. I asked the business executive, and also I have very lucky to have just direct report to the CEO, which have incredible sponsor to my program. You know, his word is basically you need to, you know, follow. And so I leverage that religiously, and also, you know, I, you know, influence his decision as well. You know, when a CEO said that this is critical, this is important, you know, you must adhere to, because there's consequences.
Understood.
Accountable.
Can we get a mic to the gentleman in the peach shirt? And while we're doing that, I want to ask Maryam a question, which is leading an important organization, OWASP in Los Angeles. How has it changed the nature of the meetups or the way that you're communicating with your body of constituents and stakeholders? You know, I think, you know, we do some number of events every year, and we're always trying to bring people together because it's humans talking to humans. And even when you've got Google search, you can go out and search stuff, but when you have the AI, it's sort of like maybe takes some of the place of us having out face-to-face, right? It's like, what would Maryam say about this topic? Oh, okay, Maryam says, you know, so how has it changed that kind of human part of the interaction?
Actually, this is what I noticed. Because of AI, people lost that human interaction, but people are hungry for it. So they would like to come and attend. We lost that human interaction. Why? Because COVID happened. Then after COVID, AI started, just like AI was not supposed to be where it is right now. I attended the Google meeting a couple of weeks ago that the speaker was talking about the fact that where we are right now, we were supposed to be in 2030. And then everything started accelerating super fast. And what we do, we use AI to put the word out, because what we need, we do twofold. One is just bringing the awareness of security, and second is bringing the people to become aware of the security. We can do it just by online, but that's not going to have the same effect, because based on the research that it just happened, and I was reading it at UCLA, they were mentioning the focus time of all of the human beings decreased to 53 minutes. And now for 53 minutes, like, you know, when you are sitting in front of the computer, you can listen to things for 53 minutes. And if you notice, just even most of these YouTube recording, they are 15 minutes, not even 53 minutes, because we lose our focus. We don't want to watch anything more than that. But when we are all sitting and we are looking face to face, we may yawn, we may just, like, you know, get bored, but we stand up. We do things that it's going to bring the focus back. That's what we notice in OWASP. We use AI to basically put the word out. We don't need to go to LinkedIn, we don't need to go to Luma, we don't need to go to basically all of these platforms. We can go to one and accelerate it to other platforms. And that's what AI does. But on the other hand, we'll bring people in, and then we would love to have you there.
Awesome. Are you ready to go, sir?
Absolutely. My name is Yunus. I'm from Western Dental. Quick question, Lionel, you mentioned about implementing some hardware guardrails for the AI models. Could you please elaborate on that? That's the first question, sorry. And the second one is, with our organization and the AI tools
mic up, please.
Sorry. And with the AI tools being readily available for everybody in the organization, how do you quickly get a report on who's using what kind of a model at any moment of time? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So your first question, yeah, I said hard guardrails. It's not necessarily hardware guardrails, but I think, yeah, what this means is not, as opposed to the soft guardrails, which are telling the agent, hey, I want you to do this and please don't do that, right? So hard guardrails is how we refer to guardrails that exist outside of the agent itself, right? So for example, it could be your firewall rules, right? You have a firewall rule and it says, this is the only website you can access, right? That would be a hard guardrail, as opposed to asking the agent, well, you're only allowed to go to CNN.com. Don't go visit any other website, because we know often they won't stick to that. And then your second question was, how do you find out about all the models that are being used and the tools that are being used in the organization? Yeah, for us, we've really focused on communication. We have created what we call the AI Center of Excellence, and this is people across the company, and I guess it was important for this to not be just engineers, right? So we have people from our marketing team and our business team, sales team, that are part of this Center of Excellence. And then we've inserted ourselves in that Center of Excellence to just make sure that when there are AI projects, it is part of the project plan that there's going to be some threat modeling, and then we decide if we need to do penetration testing. So we basically find out about what's going on, and I think this goes back to being able to say yes, but, right? We really try to enable folks so that they do come to us and let us know about it. Because yes, otherwise if you're trying to keep track of what everything is doing and discover what is going on, and we do some of this as well, of course, but it's a complicated undertaking.
Thank you. Any other comments on that? Another question from the audience. Hi, just share your first name and your organization, and you can stand up or not.
I'll sit. My name is Rashmi, and I work for. Sorry, I work for Walmart Visio. My question is that I've written down my question. Every SaaS vendor is using embedded AI feature into their software, and it's being embedded every now and then. Like it's such a quick turnaround. What specific security requirements or proofs are you demanding from the vendors before allowing AI features near your corporate data? Because you know how we learned about Salesforce and Salesloft, and now OpenAI with Hugging Face. So many integrations and so many third party are playing a role in breaches and whatnot.
Don and then Maryam?
I think I mentioned this before. Part of our third-party risk management vetting, we ask the vendor, whoever SaaS or whoever, that they map out how does the data, what the data flow. I have to understand, is my data, their data, or secure, or they're encrypted, or whatever. They have to be clearly defined. And we have, because we are a global company, so there's a cross-country borders, that there's certain requirement that we have to go by. But I think for us is I have to clearly see visually the map of our data flow.
She mentioned that they're already using SOC 2.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of SOC 2. I've seen a lot of ISO 271, PCI document. There is illustration of, but I think my part is to have the assurance from my vendor that it's in our mutual NDA as well. That's to protect us and to protect them. So yeah, that's how I kind of approach it from looking at all these vendors.
Maryam, do you have a thought on that?
I just want to add to it, just compliance doesn't mean secure. So because what you mentioned, you said that you're doing everything, but it doesn't mean that everything is secured. So that's the thing that I was going to add to what Darin mentioned.
Yeah, I've said before that compliance is anti-cybersecurity. Handsome gentleman with the beard, did you have a question?
Cameron Byers, Young Brands. I'm on the board of ISSA Los Angeles as well. So questions really on effective AI governance. So let's say you're a CISO, you work for a global organization or whatever it is, and all the other executives and people in the company are just so excited about AI, they just get all excited and giddy and want to dance when they hear it. And you don't want to be that killjoy, like about, hey, the safety of it and all, but how do you, like, what's your approach to talking to the board, talking to that C-suite about getting their buy-in and sponsorship for really laying down that effective AI governance, like with a governance board and, you know, not just a policy that doesn't have teeth, but something to actually implement through the company?
So our AI governance currently have inputs from the team, not just something we, you know, provided. So the input from the team from the ground up. So when you said that they're not, you know, they are part of this governance. And in the governance approval committee, all the stakeholders are there and to be accountable for, and actually vote for this governance to be applied. So from our perspective, it's built from the ground up, the guardrail, the govern, all the consolidation, all the feedback, and not something that we just provide to them. It's more important.
Yeah, I just want to add to this. We've just been really agile about it because this is just changing so quickly. We can't discuss it every 6 months. So yeah, keeping everyone involved in the process, explaining the risks, and getting input. I mean, it's a work in progress.
What's matter to the board is ROI. So we have to take them the dollar sign. Executive, and now with AI, what has changed? We can quantify, we can have the dollar sign, we can have amount. Instead of just saying it's just high risk, medium risk, and low risk, or it's just red, yellow, green. If when you show the board and executive, this is the amount that you're going to use, because the executive don't ask you and the board member don't ask you what tools we are using right now. They are asking why are we using it and what the impact will be, what risk is facing us. That's what I was going to add to it.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that I think since the target breach, you know, the difference is that the board is always aware, like they're always listening, you know, because that was where the board all got caught off guard and there was severe consequences from the E-team on up, including the board. Unfortunately, we don't have time for any more questions, but thank you for all the excellent questions. I'd like to wrap up, maybe starting with Lionel, and we'll work our way this direction. If you could share something that is either keeping you awake at night regarding AI and cybersecurity, or just talk about maybe a positive aspirational thing that you see that you're applying AI to your world, and that can be personal or in your work or whatever. Just go for it.
I want to go with the positive, but it's easier for me to think of what's keeping me up at night. And I think what's keeping me up at night is something that Don was mentioning, which is supply chain attacks. That is what really has me worried. And everyone in my org, vibe coding applications, pulling packages left, right, and center on their endpoint, and we try to control this. But we've seen several of these supply chain attacks, and yes, this is what's keeping me up at night.
Understood. Thank you. Don?
I think that I sleep better when I know that I can survive a breach. So the expectation when I go to an organization is that what's my resiliency? How can I survive? Because I know I'm going to be attacked. It's just a fact. And like I mentioned before, instead of building more higher walls, instead of building resiliency. That's kind of that's how I can sleep better at night, because I know I can respond well. That's the good thing. That's most important for a business to survive anyway.
And the technologies support it way more better now than they did.
Exactly, and leveraging AI, that's as a secure professional leader, that your duty now is to explore and leverage, enhance your security posture using AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to take us out here?
Yes, the only thing that I wanted to mention is just like just create the scenario, because just for incident report or for incident attack, so it's inevitable. So we know it's going to happen, but we have to be ready for it. And how we are going to be ready when there is fire going on? So what we do need to do, we have the trial before that. And for incident, we have to have some planning. And what is the planning? Scenario planning. Why don't you plan and just like, as I mentioned before, it just like create the same thing. The new generations, they are also visual. We have to create things by what they can understand it more.
Awesome. So I just want to thank our panel. Thank you very much. Great having everybody here. I want to thank FutureCon and always the great FutureCon team. And I think we've got some additional networking and time out here. So thank you very much. And hey, this is all good stuff, right? Like, remember, the telephone worked out well for the most part, right? Like, maybe our kids are like, you know, on the phone too much, but there's a way to work with that. And in general, technology does take us forward. You know, the printing press, the plow, the steam engine, right? These are the references. So in general, it works out in the end. So have a good evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Let's get a quick.
Get the selfie in.